Today I want to talk about several benefits of beets. What are they good for? Hey everybody, Chad Cruiser here with Health and Homestead. Check that out. Look at the size of that beet. Actually, this variety of beet can get to about 6 feet long and 40 pounds. Beets are amazing on so many different levels. I'm going to share with you 11 benefits of beets, and we're going to try these massive buggers and see if they actually taste good. I'm going to begin with one fantastic benefit to beets. Beets on the brain. In the journal Nitric Oxide, reports on research conducted looking at nitrite, which is a dilator of blood vessels. This nitrate can come from foods that are high in nitrates like red beetroot, lettuce, spinach, etc. They put people on either a low or a high nitrate diet. It turns out that eating a diet high in nitrates can increase blood flow to the brain, specifically in white matter, in a portion of the frontal lobe that may impact executive function. Now, executive function is kind of a broad area, but two of the things in executive function within the mind, within the brain, are number one, memory. Who doesn't want to have a better memory, number one? And secondarily, executive function can have to do with self-control. Now, moving on to our second point about beets, is what about beets and exercise? Research in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition reports on the impact of beetroot juice consumption and exercise. Beetroot has been shown to have the ability to increase nitric oxide, which dilates the blood vessels. At least 3 potential benefits to beet juice have been found. First, that it may enhance the ability to do high-intensity, repetitive exercises. Second, it may improve muscular power. And third, it may slow down muscle fatigue. And hey, if something could help slow down fatigue in your life, that sounds like a benefit. You can't beat that. So number 3 is on what's called a crossover study. Crossover studies work by you take a group of people and you give them one lifestyle change, and then they do that for a while and they switch over and do another lifestyle change. Since it's the same people, you're seeing the impact on the same person, because you might think, well, maybe it works on one but not another. But let's look at the study. This is beet juice and inflammation. A crossover study was conducted on people consuming 250 milliliters of either raw beet juice or cooked beet juice. Both raw and cooked beet juice lowered high sensitivity C-reactive protein and tumor necrosis factor alpha, which are both markers for inflammation. So in other words, beet juice, whether cooked or raw, could potentially lower inflammation in your body. Inflammation is something that is associated with many of the lifestyle diseases that we have, whether it's cancer, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, but even depression is either sometimes potentially brought on or at least exacerbated by having inflammation in the body. So this is a food that can lower inflammation. Number 4 has to do with beet juice and cholesterol. The same study also found that raw beet juice had a statistically significant impact at lowering cholesterol. The journal Hypertension reveals that the single greatest predictor of death is having a systolic blood pressure of greater than 115. You may remember that systolic blood pressure is the top number, as in 120/80. 120 is the systolic blood pressure in that example. So it turns out that having it over 115, I know we say, 120 is good, but 115 is even better. But what do beets have to do with this? Researchers found that both cooked and raw beet juice can lower blood pressure. They found that the raw beet juice did have greater impact than the cooked when it came to lowering blood pressure. But let's go on to number 6. 6 is the simple nutrition that you find in beets. Beets are a good source of vitamin C, manganese, potassium. They are also high in folate. Beets are a great food to add to a healthy, balanced diet. Number 7 is that beets are high in fiber. You may have heard before, well, Chad, humans can't even digest fiber. Now, there's some truth to that, but there's something inside of us that can digest it or metabolize it, and that's the bacteria that we have in our guts. And it turns out that as they, we could say, eat or metabolize the fiber that we eat and we give them, that they give a byproduct off to us. So we feed them, then they feed us these things called short-chain fatty acids, which, as we've already mentioned, this can lower inflammation in the body. And as we lower inflammation, we're going to lower our chances of other lifestyle diseases. And statistically, it may also make us happier, because every serving of fruit or vegetable that you eat in a day, every additional serving, has been shown to make an impact on our level of happiness. Number 8 is that beets are a great weight loss food. One of the reasons is because, like we said, they're high in fiber. Because they're high in fiber, they're high in water content, there is a lot of bulk but very few calories. So eating things like beets in your meals, whether just cooking them or putting them in borscht, these are just a great weight loss food. Number 9, you may not have known, is that you can eat both the roots and the greens on beets. And so they both have their benefits. They both taste great. Well, if you like them, I do. I like both of them. And so that's a great option, that you can eat both parts of this plant. Number 10 is that you can harvest upwards of 10 million calories per acre. So this is not only a nutrient-dense food for humans to eat, but it is also something that has tons of calories per acre. And when I say that, you might be thinking, oh, that's bad, it has lots of calories. No, the actual food doesn't have much calories when you consume it, but meaning how much you can get within an area that you plant is a lot of food, a lot of nutrition, and a lot of calories to help take care of you and your family. Number 11 is awesome to people like me, health and homestead, is that this is a plant that you can harvest in the fall, and you can store it all through the winter until the next year when you're able to harvest new beets. And that's super important if you're looking to be as self-sufficient as possible. They're easy to grow, and they can store all winter. So this is just great on so many different levels. And another additional one to add in, we could call it number 12, is they taste great in borscht. If you haven't had borscht before, you are missing out. This is something that's common in Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia. This is a common food historically, and it is phenomenal. I love it. And so we're actually cooking some food right now, and we're gonna find out how these massive beets that we grew, do they taste okay? I really don't know. Some have said they do. I'm gonna find out. This is the Mammoth Red Mangel Beet. Many people grow these for fodder, for feeding them to their animals, but I wanted to see if they're any good for feeding me. So that's what we're gonna find out. So we went through the process of cutting up our massive red mango beet and just doing something very simple. We cut it up into rounds, and then we simply cooked it in the oven. No oil, nothing. We did add a little bit of salt to it. And so here we have just a little bit of it, and you can see it there a bit. Some of them really cooked. They're almost like French fries without oil. And we'll give that a try. Try one of these here. I gotta say, shouldn't talk with your mouth full, but this is fantastic. Honestly, it tastes kind of like a sweet potato fry. That's what I would compare it to. This is very, very sweet. Surprisingly sweet, actually. I mean, I've never had a beet this sweet. So that's one that's more like a French fry. I'll have one of the ones here that are more soft, like you would, just kind of a baked. And they obviously don't have, kind of the red is totally gone. You had some before, but it's gone now. When they're just simply baked, they are super sweet. I mean, surprisingly sweet. I don't think these are the best beets that I've ever had. I grew 4 different kinds this year. The standard Detroit dark red. I grew an albino one and another one, maybe an orange one, and then these. And to be honest, these are the best. These are absolutely a keeper. I am going to be growing these in the future. And this is great. Well, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications. If you have anything to share about beets, I'd love to hear it. Do you like beets? Do you not like beets? Would you ever try the massive red mangle, growing one of these? I'm looking forward to growing them again next year. Well, God bless and have a fantastic day.